Hey, it's Nick Venditis here from Royal LePage, and this is Nick Answers Reddit. So each week I answer a question that comes from Reddit and try to give a good detailed answer so that you can navigate the same problem or the same question in your own buyer or seller journey or just living around the capital city here. So this week's question is an American one. It says, is it normal for realtors and their preferred lenders to bash on big banks? So um, it's a longer question, but basically, this is from a buyer who's buying their first house, and they got a great rate offered to them by Chase Bank, which is a big American bank, and they're willing to lock in the rate. As you know, at this point when this video is published, we're seeing higher than recent interest rates. So we're seeing like 6, 7+% on there, and I mean, that's certainly higher than it was a year ago and way higher than it was 2 years ago. So, all through the process, this buyer had a preferred lender from their realtor that they were also talking to, and this preferred lender and their realtor would take every opportunity to kind of say, "Oh, you're not getting a good deal. You're paying way more than you have to. You know, you don't understand the mistakes you're making." But they're not really educating the client. So the Redditor's question here was, is this normal for realtors and their preferred lenders to bash on them? So my answer here is no. It's not normal and it's not professional. Although we should be educating, and if there is really an advantage for someone to use one lender over another, we certainly want to present those options to our clients. It's never proper just to bash another professional. It's a little different for the realtor or for the lender here in this case, who is not going to make any money unless this client works with them. But the realtor is really supposed to be, the realtor is supposed to have their client's best interest in mind. And if it's in the client's best interest to go with Chase Bank in this case, then they should be saying that, yeah, that's your best option. And if it's not, they need to be laying out the reasons why and letting the client make their own decision, because not every decision comes down to strictly numbers. There may be other reasons why the client wants to go with Chase Bank. So I'm going to read a little bit off my notes here because I wrote this answer first to kind of keep my thoughts in order. But first thing to say is that this is an American perspective. So the banking landscape is very different there. So there's a huge mix of big, medium, and small banks. Chase would be an example of a big bank. An example of a small bank would be, like, I lived in Kentucky for 3 summers as a camp counselor years and years and years ago. And the whole bank that we got our paychecks deposited into only had 3 banks. It was called like Campbellsville National Bank or something, which was hilarious because there was 3 branches. They only operated in that small town, and unless we got a visa from that bank, we couldn't even use our debit card out of state. So, and we were often out of state with that job. So compare that to Canada, where the whole banking landscape is dominated by the big 5 banks. I mean that there are a few others in there, but we don't really hear about them compared to the big 5. They dominate the vast majority. There's monoline lenders, and which are, they're bank entities that only serve to lend money. And that is, 95, 97, 99% of how Canadians get mortgages loaned to them. So it's very different where you have a billion different options in the States. Here, it mostly comes down to how you get your mortgage arranged. So some people will do it directly through the bank, in which case, if you want to shop around, you need to go to each bank and call each monoline lender, or go to a mortgage broker, so an independent mortgage broker. And I use brokers in quotation marks when I say the bank mortgage brokers, because they're often trained by the bank, but they don't have the same independent licensing that an independent one does. So it's a different standard of education there. The actual mortgage is still underwritten by the monoline lender or the bank, but the only difference to you, the consumer, so you, the purchaser, is in who is representing you along the way. It would be, it's a little bit like realtors, I guess, in the way that I can help you buy a house, or Kareem from my team can help you buy a house, or there's other excellent agents in town who can help you buy a house, and there's other terrible agents around who can help you buy a house. But in the end, you still buy the house. So in this case, you still get the mortgage. As a team, we make it a rule not to bash any specific type of mortgage professional. So the goal for us is to make sure that you get a mortgage at terms that you are comfortable with. So that said, over the years, I have found that independent mortgage brokers tend to have higher levels of certification, broader knowledge of the mortgage landscape, and their interests tend to be more in alignment with those of our clients because they are working with you. They're working to try and get referred to you again in the future. They want to work with all your friends and family, which means that they want to do a rock star job for you so that you recommend them. Whereas opposed to a bank who, if you don't recommend them, I mean, they don't really care. There's sometimes the mortgage broker is incentivized to get you in at a higher rate. Most people don't know that you can go to a bank and you can actually negotiate that rate down that they will quote to you. Whereas a mortgage broker is actively going to help you try and do that. They also tend to have greater hours of availability. This is the independence, and they can help our clients shop around to various mortgage options. So this is mortgage brokers as a one-stop shop. I encourage our clients to interview both mortgage brokers and bank representatives and work with whoever fits you best. My personal recommendation list is short. Right now, as of the time of this video, it only has just mortgage brokers on it. However, from time to time, we have a bank professional that we've really been impressed by, and they kind of rotate into the list. And like over time, those people have gone on to be independent mortgage professionals. Sometimes they've just left the banking industry or they've gone into management or whatever. But our current list of mortgage brokers is short, and they've been there. I mean, all but one of them have been there for a long time. So one of them has been basically since the first day I was a realtor. I keep it short, and I also keep a short and confidential list of bad mortgage brokers, just like I keep a list of bad contractors and bad plumbing companies that have screwed up something for a client, and to make sure that none of my clients, hopefully, ever use them again. Now, I will not give that list out in public because I don't want to get sued for that. But if I have somebody who's signed on with me and they're thinking of using, Shady Mortgage Brokerage Incorporated, I will tell them that I've had a bad experience with Shady Mortgage Brokerage Incorporated. I will only tell them the facts. I will not tell them they can't use them, just that what has happened to clients in the past. Now, banks, to their credit, are sometimes going to have sales on their rates if the buyer chooses to work with them directly. When that ends up being the case, our client may work with the bank and it goes great. In these cases, if the client has already spoken with a mortgage broker, which is fine, you can talk to both at the same time. A good mortgage broker is going to admit that they can't match that rate if they're not able to. And a really great mortgage broker, and we know some of these ones, is not only going to say we can't match that rate, but we'll have a look at the contract with you and point out any things that you might need to know that are in there. Because they know that in the end, what's important is the result for the client. So it's all of us working together to make sure that the client has you have a fantastic purchasing experience or selling experience or whatever way we're involved with you. And that's how they become successful and get referrals and work, have people that are lining up to work with them year after year. On that last note, so I'll just finish by saying a big shout out to two of the mortgage brokers in particular that we have worked with forever that do exactly this. So Kristen Stouffer and Chris Allard here in Ottawa. So they're both amazing, and they're both amazing mortgage professionals, and I have seen them do exactly what is described above, which is help out clients in a pinch. I have even seen Kristen work with another client. So they've helped out a buyer client when we were representing the seller who had their mortgage fall apart the last minute, and on a Wednesday night, she had everything solved by Friday afternoon so that buyer could close on my seller's property, even though they had never met them until Friday at 8:30 p.m. Or sorry, never met them until Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. So I think that is a big part of why those two, Kristen Stouffer and Chris Allard, get recommended so much here in the capital. I hope that helps. And the reason I know this, of course, is because I am a realtor here in Ottawa, Ontario. So thank you, and good luck on your home purchase.